This is week 7 of learning the sword form. This is going to be a bit different because we got some good news. We didn't learn any new moves today, or yesterday really. Today's Sunday. The exciting news is instead we worked on some refinements, get the motions more correct. So we'll get to run through all those. As always, I'll do the whole form first and then we'll look at all of the corrections that we were given during the week. So obviously, no new moves. There were a couple adjustments made. The first one happens quite early. It's right at the beginning after we do that. This motion is kind of circling. I'm visualizing it kind of gathering chi. And trying to keep that chi with me during that move. But he did make, or Sifu did make a point that this is a circular motion. It isn't in, out, or it isn't forward. And he also mentioned there's a bit of upwardsness to this. I'm not entirely sure how much, but there's definitely some. The next little correction shows up right here. Shift here, the right toe comes up and angles with you and then comes back. Just a little tiny footwork change there. Right here, there is a change, or there's a refinement to that move. If I switch that around so that I did the cut, so all I did was just turn myself around. So I come here, this is up, and the next move coming down is sort of a chop. You're trying to keep the blade as flat as you can going down. We showed an example, or we showed an example of reaching over someone's guard, catching them on the wrist, and then just using this to push that wrist down. Or push is probably the wrong word, but just sink down on that wrist. And then that makes this move just one solid draw backwards. It doesn't bend down, doesn't bend up, doesn't go out of plane. It's just chop down and kind of pull back. I assume that if you had someone cut, that pull back would be cutting it. Or if they're really good at what they're doing, they might come with you, in which case you get them off balance and then do the cut. Either way, you've got an advantage. So, on this move, Sifu made a big deal about having energy. This is the hero pose, so it's not collapse. We're not bringing the sword in, some sneaky ninja movie. Sword is up proud, we're taking up a lot of space. So we can use that energy to come down here. Same deal for all of the blocks here. He pointed out strongly that this needs to be out and up. You don't want to be blocking a overhead chop down here. You'll be brain panned before it even hits your sword. Also, from my experience, it's not just the position that matters, but the energy that you're going to put into it. You're going to have the energy keeping it there, so that when the enemy sword comes in, you've got some control. If you don't have energy, if you're just lazily here, when the sword comes down, it's just going to knock your sword down. You won't have anything. So from there, a refinement that I saw, but he didn't, or Sifu did not make a big deal about, was it seemed like there's almost a point in space where he's keeping the tip while he's rotating that. I have not fully figured that out, but it seemed interesting. Another one of these blocks, again, make sure that's up high. On this, if I turn around a little, definitely remember that this is a kick. I don't have much flexibility, so my kick is small and I need to work on it, but it's also with the sword. So coming in like that. And as always, the first time the sword tip does come down. When you take the next step, the sword tip comes level and never changes. And from there, it's strike, clean off, true strike. This is definitely a block, so it's going to have the same strength as all the other blocks. Here, there's a change. I was doing some fancy stuff with my wrist, and he said that's not necessary. So after we get to here, all I need to do is just use the waist, kind of command everything comes through. And he also corrected me that this blade should be flat to you. I had been keeping my wrist too neutral, and this is wrong. So the wrist is curved enough to keep it flat. So that whole section which is a lot faster. There's a twist there, so it was down, it rotates up. Here, I was making a mistake. It needs to be sword down at that point. So if I go back to striking down, which is what I just did, come back, now my palms are down so that I can twist there to palm up when we do the strike. There's a little circle. Sifu definitely made a big deal about doing it from the waist. I'm still trying to figure out what that means, so everyone should explore that and find out what it means to them. It's another one of those blocks. Keep it high. 3, 2, 1. And this one, just skimming along, kind of cutting the grass. Catch something and flick it. Now here's another place where I noticed that Sifu's sword seems to be going out almost as a strike. I don't think it goes all the way out that far, but he's definitely not hugging it in. He's definitely taking up space while doing that. And then the footwork comes with the real strikes. Here, it's another block. Right now I'm visualizing my opponent's sword below me coming in, so I'm keeping him out and then going for him. Another block. That's the only time where we don't Charlie step yet. The first 2 times we Charlie step, that one, we're just here and flick something away. On this next move, he did make a big deal about trying to use the whole body. So this stayed almost still, and the whole body moved around it. And came back. I've been finding when I do this step, I'm stepping too far across, and it makes it harder to figure out which foot is forward after we spin around. So it's just a little tiny movement into that chop. Now here is another refinement. Sword starts kind of with the tip forward. The wrist is very neutral in this position, and it never leaves that neutral position this whole time. So it comes forward and you move the body around it. Step number 1. Step number 2. Step number 3. And then step castings. Those are the corrections I remember. Hopefully they were at least the ones that were directed at me. Hopefully that helped, and I'll see everyone next week.